Hello everyone, welcome back to Taiwan Tech Dispatch. This is your host White Shoe. Taiwan's startup ecosystem has always had one strange paradox. It's vibrant, but invisible. Talented founders, strong engineering culture, fast market adoption. Yet global investors often tell me the same thing. I want to understand the Taiwan startups, but where do I find the data? For years, the answer was complicated. Data was scattered. Funding rounds were undocumented. Even the number of active startups depended on who you asked. But something changed in these years. Taiwan finally built the missing piece of its innovation infrastructure, a centralized, transparent, public startup database. It's called Findit, and today we're going to talk about why this matters not just for Taiwan, but for anyone watching the Asia-Pacific innovation landscape. Chapter 1, the problem Taiwan never solved. Data transparency. For more than a decade, Taiwan's startup ecosystem grew without a single source of truth. Unlike the US with Crunchbase or Southeast Asia with platforms like Trax or Deal Street Asia, Taiwan lacked a verified list of active startups, funding round visibility, investor-startup relationship mapping, sector-level trend dashboards, even basic metadata like founder background or headcount. So what happened instead? Everyone built their own spreadsheet. Accelerators kept private lists. Government agencies kept their own. Investors each had a separate version. Corporate innovation teams manually track companies in Notion or Excel. The result was predictable. Taiwan looks smaller to the world than it actually was. Because what cannot be seen cannot be evaluated. What cannot be evaluated cannot be funded. This was a structural handicap, one that prevented Taiwan from being properly analyzed alongside Singapore, Korea, or Japan. Chapter 2. Enter Findit, Taiwan's first real startup database. Findit changed the game. It is the first government-backed effort to create a public, centralized, fully searchable database of startups, funding rounds, investors, accelerators, market categories, government programs, cross-border activities. It does what Crunchbase does, but tailored for Taiwan's ecosystem. Standardized company profiles, funding histories, vertical categorization, links to official data, integration with national innovation programs. Most importantly, it's free, transparent, and open to the world. If Crunchbase makes the US legible, if PitchBook makes venture capital measurable, then Findit finally makes Taiwan discoverable. Chapter 3. Why this matters. Visibility equals capital flow. Here's the part many people underestimate. Ecosystems don't grow because of hype. They grow because of discoverability. Without visibility, Taiwan faced 3 problems. International VCs overlooked Taiwan. Not because they weren't interested, but because they lacked data. Analysts rarely included Taiwan in APAC reports. No data means no presence in market maps. Foreign talent couldn't assess Taiwan as a destination. People relocate to ecosystems they can understand. This is why Findit is not just a website, it is infrastructure. Visibility leads to curiosity. Curiosity leads to deal flow. Deal flow leads to capital and talent. That is how ecosystems scale. Chapter 4. The global context. Taiwan needs this more than ever. Taiwan isn't competing with just one region. It's competing with Singapore's state-backed venture capital engine, Korea's powerful corporate innovation networks, Japan's accelerating investment in AI, Southeast Asia's massive market-driven expansion. In this landscape, Taiwan's biggest weakness wasn't talent, it was opacity. A Singapore startup raises $2 million. It appears on 10 platforms overnight. A Taiwan startup raises the same amount and disappears into the noise. Findit is the equalizer. For the first time, Taiwan can be benchmarked side by side with APAC peers. Not through anecdotes, but through standardized, accessible, global-grade data. Chapter 5. What Findit reveals about Taiwan's startup DNA. Once you browse the platform, patterns emerge immediately. Taiwan's strengths are clear. AI semiconductors, SaaS, robotics, cybersecurity, digital health, climate and energy tech. But what's even more interesting is this. Taiwan's startups tend to be tech first, market second. Strong engineering, strong execution, but historically limited visibility. Findit fixes the visibility half of the problem. It gives founders a stage. It gives foreign investors a map. It gives Taiwan a narrative. Chapter 6. The symbolic meaning. Taiwan is growing up. startup ecosystems mature in stages: founders, accelerators, capital, market access, data transparency, national branding. Findit marks Taiwan's entry into stage 5. It signals that Taiwan is no longer just producing good companies. It is building the systems that help companies succeed repeatedly. When an ecosystem becomes measurable, it becomes investable. That is the deeper meaning behind Findit. Chapter 7. What comes next? The missing pieces. Findit is a strong start, but infrastructure always evolves. Here's what Taiwan still needs: verified funding round sizes, exit tracking, cross-border investor indexing, benchmark dashboards, API access for researchers, integration with Startup Island Taiwan's branding efforts. If Taiwan can align data, brand, global positioning, then Taiwan will finally have a modern, coherent, globally visible startup identity. Closing. When people talk about startup ecosystems, they often focus on unicorns and big funding rounds. But these outcomes sit on top of something much more fundamental: data, visibility, transparency, legibility. Findit is not the end of Taiwan's startup evolution, but it is the infrastructure Taiwan should have built 10 years ago, and one that will matter even more in the next 10 years. Because the future belongs to ecosystems that are visible, searchable, and understood. And now, finally, Taiwan is on the map. If you enjoyed this episode, follow Taiwan Tech Dispatch for more insights into Asia's emerging innovation hubs. I'm White Shu. See you next time.